Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh, and here we have Game 2 between PainUser and WhiteRa. PainUser going to be the yellow Terran over here on the right side of Lost Temple, and Duckload Ra, or WhiteRa, down on the bottom. They are at close running positions, so maybe we'll see some more early aggression like we did see out of both players in Game 1. Not sure what PainUser is going to try and do to vary up his build. WhiteRa, of course, with that 5 warp gate, 1 base play was kind of weird. Normally you can only support 4 warp gates off of a single base. He might try something a little different, but since it was so effective, he might not. We'll just have to see. I have not seen these games yet, but you know, they're of a good length where I think, you know, they'll be good games. Both of these guys are good players as well. So PainUser is going to actually try to wall off his ramp this time, it looks like. Blistering Sands, he did not do that. Of course, on Blistering Sands there are those destructible rocks in the back, so you'd have to wall off 2 entrances. Here, he only has to wall off 1. PainUser, of course, like I said in the first game, always subscribes to the very standard Terran build. WhiteRa, a big fan of the very standard Protoss build, unless he just goes Mass Zealot or something, or a Cannon Contain or something like that. But WhiteRa actually does have a large variety of builds, so I actually would be surprised if he went for 5 gates again, even though they're at these close running positions. He might try something a little different, we'll see. But Scouting Probe and Scouting SCV see each other very quickly, so PainUser probably going to find WhiteRa immediately. Yes, he is. Not going to see anything too interesting at this point. WhiteRa's not doing anything insane. He's getting his gateway and then his assimilator. Probably going to drop a pylon and a cybernetics core next. PainUser, on the other hand, has not finished that barracks, but he's about to, so orbital command starts right on time. PainUser cranking out just a single Marine before he decides which add-on he's going to try and get. Actually, he didn't even build a gas. Okay, so PainUser is not doing the very standard Terran build. I lied. I've seen him do it maybe 90% of the games I've watched of his, but you know, that 10% can be pretty deceptive stuff. Cybernetics core down here. PainUser is hiding his SCV behind the Nexus, actually like that, but WhiteRa is not fooled. He sends a probe to come fight him and drops that second gas. So the second gas last game actually led to a 5 gate just very early push. This time, like I said, I don't know if he's going to be going for that. PainUser, since he's changing up his play and just going for Mass Marine, oh, he's going, okay, he's going 1 barracks expand, not Mass Marine. We'll see what he does. He still does not have a refinery built yet, though. And WhiteRa is chrono boosting out a Stalker first instead of a Zealot. He's also dropping a pylon up here so that he has some vision on his cliffs. Doesn't know exactly what to expect out of PainUser since his scouting probe did not get past that front wall. PainUser is dropping a second barracks now, still no refinery. Bunker at the front of his natural. LZ Gamer actually did a lot of play like this during the beta in the early part of retail, where he would go for mineral only sort of builds for a long time, even up to like the 10-minute mark, before he would crank out a factory and a starport as fast as possible to support his mass Marines. But WhiteRa just scouting the Xel'Naga tower. He was probably kind of hoping that there was an SCV there so he could get a free kill. Not going to be that lucky today. Did he poke his head in? No, he just sees the bunker and stops right where he is. He's getting a robotics facility, so he is switching up off of that 5 gate. He probably doesn't want to take this head on right now with 2 stalkers. I don't see them really being able to achieve anything on their own. Robotics facility is done now, so is he going to get that observer first or go straight for an immortal? WhiteRa is, of course, a pretty aggressive player. Oh, he's actually getting a robotics bay very, very quickly. So 1 gate into Colossi. That's a huge change from the last game, and it actually works into PainUser's favor pretty well if he can get enough units out before the Colossi finish, or before they have their range. If he can get stemmed Marines quickly enough, he does have 1 refinery going now. If he gets that tech lab up and gets stem very quickly, this mass Marine army might be able to do well before the Colossus shows up. WhiteRa is adding on 2 more gateways now, so it's going to be 3 gate, single robotics facility, no expansion, up against PainUser's 2 bases and 4 racks also getting the second refinery now. What is he researching at the tech lab? Nothing just yet. Doesn't have enough gas really to do anything for his Marines. Yeah, actually, this is just kind of a stalemate for the time being. WhiteRa doesn't want PainUser to move out of his base. PainUser doesn't want WhiteRa to move into his base. So they're just kind of stuck right here. No one wants to cross this line. WhiteRa did build that pylon on the cliff so that he could warp down. You can see that now as he warps in a few zealots, getting that Colossus out as well, and chrono boosting extended thermal lances. Quite a good move. But PainUser looks like he is content with his number of units now. He's at 49 food against Duckload Ra's 46. WhiteRa actually sort of famous now for building pylons at the Xel'Naga Tower on this map. I've seen him do it almost every time on this map. PainUser actually going to stop, not move in too far. Did he scan? No, he hasn't scanned, so he doesn't know really what he's up against either. He's going to rebuild a bunker here, as well as a missile turret. Missile turret, of course, to block Dark Templar more than it is to block Void Rays or anything like that. With this many Marines, Void Rays would just be a really ridiculous move. Dark Templar probably makes more sense for WhiteRa to go, and PainUser has been thwarted by Dark Templar in the past, so he likes to build a turret there at his natural, right at the opening. He actually probably should build one here at his main too if he's concerned about that, but the engineering bay already being up means that PainUser can get his 1-0 research and probably move out right when that completes. He still doesn't have Stimpack done yet, but it is just about to finish in about 15 seconds. Also getting combat shields, so he's cranking out the Marine upgrades. Still did not get concussive shells yet, but he does have, far more Marines than he does Marauders. Second orbital command, still dropping mules right on time, so is the first one. Everything looks to be going well for PainUser's economy. If we look at the workers, it's 38 to 30, so PainUser being on this 2-base advantage could work out for him relatively soon. Now the 2 Colossi do move in and get 5 kills very, very quickly. PainUser's going to have to, combat shields just finished, he's going to have to stim and get some good timing to be able to kill off these Colossi. They do have the extended thermal lances already. Pulling lots of SCVs here to try and repair this bunker. The bunker is in range of a couple of zealots here. WhiteRa, yeah, all he had to do was pull back just a few feet there to save their lives. So these 2 Colossi going to be the only ones here for a while. If you look at the production tab, WhiteRa isn't building anything else. It looks like he's just going to be content with his 2 Colossi, trying to kill this bunker. Of course, he's never going to be able to if he doesn't kill those SCVs. Finally, PainUser does respond, stims up with all of his Marauders and Marines. Marauders, of course, have a ton of life, but are they going to be able to power down this Colossus? Yes, they are. +1 weapons aren't even finished yet, and he's still able to take out that Colossus and the second one. Third one shows up finally, but now it's pretty much WhiteRa's tier 1 units at single Colossus against 1 bunker worth of tier 1 units out of PainUser. If you look at the production tab, there are a lot of tier 1 units coming out now. WhiteRa doesn't have really anything coming. He's just content to warp things in as he gets the money, and now building another Colossus. He did stop a lot of mining there. If we go switch back to the units tab, we'll see that WhiteRa is ahead in the worker count now, 30 to 26, but WhiteRa could actually move up just a foot or two and start shooting away. There he goes, shoots that refinery, now shooting the units of PainUser, but he stims up again, has a lot of SCVs here to soak some hits, but it's not going to matter. WhiteRa backs off. He does not want to lose this last Colossus before the other one shows up to reinforce, so he's going to be very cautious with that, keeping the Stalkers in the front line, dancing his Colossus around, warps in 3 more Zealots to do some tanking, but with all these upgrades out on the tier 1 units of PainUser, looks like he is gaining an advantage here, especially with the oh man, all these units are so low for PainUser, and they do manage to kill off that Colossus, but with the combat shields and Stimpack, PainUser is just able to outlast WhiteRa and stay alive basically. But like I said, he did fall behind in the worker count. Now he's down to only 19 SCVs against 29 of WhiteRa. WhiteRa just now expanding. He probably could have done that during that contain and been a bit farther ahead than where he is now. He did get that pylon back up here at the Xel'Naga Tower. Did not manage to build one or keep one alive anyway up here. And PainUser still just cranking out of what was it, 5 barracks we saw earlier, this Colossus is going to have to do some nifty micro if he's going to stay alive, and of course he does not, not with this many bio units. So PainUser with 52 food, WhiteRa down to only 35. We've seen him with 3 Colossus on the field at a time, and he's down to only 35 food. This does not bode well for him. Look at the units tab here. Just an army, 7 Marauders, 11 Marines on the field against 1 Zealot, 1 Colossus, and 2 Sentries. Not going to be enough for WhiteRa. These Sentries would have been probably okay to be force fielding the ramp, but then he would have lost this Nexus. Instead, he loses his entire army, and PainUser is free to just run up the ramp anyway. Nexus is going to go down. The production tab looks like that Colossus is only about halfway done. He warps in a couple of Zealots and a Stalker to try and take out these remaining 3 Marines and 2 Marauders, but with that 1-0 upgrade and soon to be a 1-1 upgrade, WhiteRa is just falling farther behind with his tier 1 units, and now that other Colossus is up, he's probably going to be able to kill off all the rest of this, but PainUser are already sending the next wave, this one including a tank. Siege mode is almost completed, so PainUser actually teched up a little bit while he was being contained, got that factory and that tech lab on it, and he might be able to kill this Colossus up the cliff. No, he doesn't. Instead, he kills those tier 1 units and pushes up the ramp. The siege tank is able to get a nice blast off on that Colossus and take it down. So PainUser really effective with his tier 1 units and siege tank to be able to kill off that Colossus. And now WhiteRa says, good game, go Metalopolis. Probably reeling from that. If he had stuck with his 5 gates, he might have actually won that game. PainUser did sort of a pretty similar strategy to what he did in the first match. But now let's just move on to Game 3. Both players have 1 win under their belt against the other, and Game 3 will decide who goes home from MLG DC, as this was a lower bracket best of 3. I'll see you there.